Westpac to block gambling. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. We're going to have a talk about Westpac blocking gambling. Now, Westpac is one of the big four banks here in Australia. And let's get started before we go through this by just looking at their share price. Do you think this is going to be a case of get woke, go broke? Or is it just providing services and tools that people need? Particularly, well, gambling is an addiction, everyone, and some people need help. So this is the current share price that I captured last night, and of course it hasn't changed because I'm recording this before the market has opened. That's one of the advantages of doing YouTube early in the morning. While people try to break into your house, you can catch them. So rocking up here at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. every morning has its advantages, guys. I recommend it. And hence, well, now you know the real reason why I have the half liter of coffee while I'm filming. So we can see here the share price has, well, gone up from September last year from $16 all the way up. Let's go to 5 years so we can see that. There we go, that dip. So we're right back to where we were before the correction. Now, who got in at 15 bucks? I'm sure there's some people that did. We'll jump and have a look at the technicals and at some ideas. So the technicals, and we'll do analysis at 1 day. Let's go a month. A month is saying a buy, oscillators are saying neutral, and moving averages are saying buy. If we jump here and have a look at the forecast, so we've got an upcoming event tomorrow to next earnings report for Westpac. So we'll have to see, which I'm assuming is today. Nope. Yes, oh, it's confusing with the American dates here. Let's have a look at some of their ideas. No, I don't want markets, I want the ideas for Westpac. So, Bitcoin, why are we talking about Bitcoin? Let's go to Westpac Banking Corporation. It's a beautifully organized YouTube channel here, everyone. Beautifully organized. Let's look at the ideas that people have. ASX Bank Index GLD slide. Top author, we've got one author, buy at the gap. Let's have a look, Westpac Banking Corporation. So how's he predicting? Okay, well, there you go. BTO 20, okay. Well, we'll have to see. Filled. So they did well with their order. Some people are just sharing their orders of what they do, what they're doing here. So let's jump on and have a look at how Westpac intends to block gambling, everyone. And if we jump to this article. So, Westpac rolls out gambling blocking tool. A major bank has launched a digital gambling blocking mechanism for its customers to restrict their spending with gambling merchants. Do you think this is going to work? Because all the people who couldn't go gambling, didn't they all just pile into the stock market? Westpac has introduced a new blocking mechanism in its online and mobile banking platforms, which will allow customers to restrict their spend with gambling merchants. The digital feature will allow customers to apply the block in real time to any personal Westpac credit card or debit MasterCard, where the transaction is processed through MasterCard. The gambling block feature has followed other recent measures aimed at increasing the safety of digital banking for customers, including providing customers the ability to report abusive messages via online and mobile banking and blocking inappropriate language from outgoing payments. Well, that's probably just handy when you, when you make a mistake sending a message as well. But this could also be well, what if someone steals your credit cards? You can just simply block all of those online gambling just to be safe. Westpac Group executives of financial crime, compliance and conduct, Leslie Wilson Vance, recently told the House of Representatives Standing Committee on Economics for their review of 4 major banks that since the bank had begun blocking abusive transactions in January 2021, it had reversed around 4,700 transactions from 3,500 customers. CEO Peter King added that approximately 10 individuals had been reported to the authorities for repeated abusive behavior to Westpac customers from another financial institution. You know what this is. This is all IPV, everyone. Commenting on the blocking mechanism, Westpac's Director of Customer Vulnerability and Financial Resilience, Catherine Fitzpatrick, said that more than 2,500 customers have accessed the feature since it went live in March. I mean, that's not that long ago. The new feature complements our existing service where customers can also call us to request a gambling block to be applied to their card to stop certain transactions, including at casinos, sports betting agencies, and online gambling. The last time I went to the track was for Melbourne Cup a few years ago, and I wanted to put like a $50 bet on it because, well, that's what you do. And I was frustrated because they wouldn't let me pay with my card. I needed to pay with cash. And I'm going, who carries cash? We know that problem gambling is a serious community issue. The introduction of the digital gambling block is a further step to provide customers choice and convenience to manage their spending. Westpac rolled out the gambling blocking mechanism has followed similar moves by NAB last year, when it offered customers via NAB Visa credit or debit cards the option of blocking gambling transactions via its app. So it looks like Westpac is playing catch-up with, well, the other banks, NAB, to provide this service. So, I mean, how do you think about this? What are the solutions and lessons? And the viewer poll. I mean, is this going to be a case of go woke, go broke? I don't imagine it is. If NAB has already done it, there's probably community acceptance for it. Will crypto spending be next? I mean, banks often won't even let you transfer money if you have the word crypto in it. I mean, it's becoming more mainstream and more common. Should it be a default for dole recipients? If anyone on welfare, should this automatically be applied to their account, or is that taking away too much of their agency? So I took a viewer poll and I asked my viewers to respond to this. We had 901 responses, everyone. So I'll just refresh this right now so we can see if there are any more. There you go. Another 14 people are up early in the morning. So 14% said yes all the time. Just by default, block them. 21% said yes only if requested by a customer. 14% said yes if they are on welfare. And 21% said no, banks shouldn't be paternalistic. And 31% said people have agency. And one viewer said, well, no, people have agency, and yes, only if requested are essentially the same thing. Which is right. So let's have a look at what people are saying in the comments. At Astra, no, they should hold your money, not freaking tell you what you can and can't do with it. See, so some people are concerned that the banks are going to start to moralize. I mean, we're already seeing banks debank people due to political opinion. Aussie Mum, if a client requests this, definitely. It's a service they've asked for. Stephen Smith, the banks are gambling and we are paying the bill. Well, in some ways they are too. Mandy P, yes, there should always be that an individual can block certain ATMs from withdrawal. If you go to a certain club, pub, you should be able to log in and block it yourself and unblock it yourself too with a 24-hour waiting period. So Mandy has a good suggestion there that you could do it with pubs and clubs. Because, I mean, with gambling, people have, and it's an addiction, everyone. It can be a real problem for some people. And it can be a trap and cause lots of social issues. An addict should be able to authorize a block to help themselves recover. From Dree. Magic Mike. This is why the world's burning. Banks should have absolutely no say in what happens with your money. I don't want to live on this planet anymore. Oh, cheer up, Mike. It's going to be okay, mate. Jack, I've played online games and have bought in-game items. When I went to get a loan through the bank once, they asked if I gambled frequently and have never gambled in my life. When I said no and questioned why they asked it, they said the transactions for the game were regarded as gambling. Wow. Well, Jack, you've got to realize some of the mechanics in these games it's pretty much like gambling. You know, buying the loot boxes. This is why a lot in Europe and a lot of places around the world have issues with them. Because it's gambling. You just, instead of gambling for something useful like money, you know, you're gambling for a World of Warships ship or banner flags or those type of things. This country is so backward sometimes and needs to get with the times. Because when they start implementing one thing to hinder what you do with your money, along comes a myriad of other things solely based on the lack of keeping up with the 21st century. I get where you're coming from. I understand, but it is gambling in some regard. Some of these loot boxes are literally gambling. Rourois. If it's not taxed and not considered gambling under legislation, then it's not gambling, it's an expense. Remember, there's no such thing as online gambling in Australia. Other than lottery tickets, which you can buy online. Yeah, that may be the legality of it, but the banks they don't care about that. They're gonna analyze you based on the information in front of them. Because if you buy loot boxes all the time, that could see a gambling tendency. I mean, I'm a very old millennial, so I'm not hip with the young ones. I just can't stand buying things in games. I can't do it. DLC, like a big add-on for a computer game, sure, I could maybe do that, but I'm one of those free-to-play people that will just, play World of Tanks. I did buy once. I bought one tank in it, but that's after playing it for a few years. You got to help the Russians. So Smith John, the thing is, where would this block stop? First gambling, then what else? And I'm no gambler by any means. See, this is the thing. If it's voluntary, if the banks are advertising this service, they could probably do it anyway beforehand, but now they're turning it into a feature and giving you, the user, more direct control over it. I would advocate that's a good thing. It's facilitating the individual's agency. But if the banks are universally saying, no, we will block it, unless that's a feature of the bank, unless you had a bank that, let's say in a fantasy world, tried to moralize and say, we're the good bank, we don't support gambling, we don't support weapons manufacturing, we won't do business with those. Could, if they put it out there, are they able to say that? I mean, you've got some of the banks that won't even support tattoo parlor businesses, won't even let them do business. Is that any different? We have to encourage people to seek help over the nanny state. From David. Finn, they should have gambling machines on every corner and let the idiots gamble to their heart's content. Townsend is saying, like the stock markets, no, not gambling, stonk. Yeah, it's to the moon. It's not gambling. The word speculation is a fancy way of saying gambling. Well, yes. And Coast says, there should be systems that track your gambling for social workers so they can report these parents that flog the money off on the pokies and not feed their kids. And then the legal system can restrict them individually from gambling for child neglect. Or some sort of system like that. I'm a free market guy, but that shit is really sad, especially when the young youth get caught up in the system as a result of it instead of parents, because they're just trying to eat. Well, I mean, that's the challenge. That's the argument right there for the cashless welfare card. If customers ask it, they have agency. Same question. Yes, you're right, Electric Homie. Echo. Gamblers have a problem if they seek help. I agree the bank should do what they can to help. Yeah, it's no cost burden on the bank, really, to do it. It shouldn't cost them anything. John, what people do with their own money is nobody else's business. Freedom of choice to be free and do as you please with your dollar. Tribocop, banks are already enabling people to gamble by giving them huge mortgages. Yeah, well, will that stop people getting house loans? Fat pizza, no difference to leverage trading. CG isn't buying real estate in this present climate speculation. And PW asked who voted yes to this. Breaking Bud, people gamble to make money. If I have a couple $100 to gamble, I already have money. What? I already have money, definitely an addiction for some people, huge social problems in this country. I don't gamble, so I'm not overly bothered by what you're gambling, your rent or your food, until you're already in trouble. No gambling, no stock market, no problems. Thanks to Team Heise from Steve FM. These things are manifestations of human nature. No one in 1,000 years has obtained them. And, well, Stutulus is pretty right. So there we have it, everyone. The viewer polls. Seems to be a consensus, or the majority are arguing for people to have agency, and only if the government, if the bank, not the government, if the bank has requested to do it. 14% say yes for those on welfare, while 21% argue banks should not be paternalistic. So there we have it, everyone. What do you reckon? Vote in the poll. Let us know your comments down below. Thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can sign up for SelfWealth or Stake for your share trading. Use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays. Use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint or support us via PayPal. Now, it's one interesting thing with regards to my YouTube advertising. I actually went through years ago and did ad blocks on all my AdSense, so no gambling advertisements should appear either on my YouTube or on my website. Because, you know, it's one thing I'm not too keen on. What do you reckon? Let me know if you see one. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time.